simple as it out there. I'm telling you what, it doesn't get any better. It's everything you dream of and then more. All right, that's outstanding work. I got 2 game balls. Okay, I just say it like this. Right? You're good enough for Detroit.
Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry, served by Applebee's.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. I'm Connor Rogers alongside Matthew Berry, Jay Croucher, and that, of course, was Lions head coach Dan Campbell in the locker room after the team's first playoff win since 1991.
You're good enough for Stanford, Connecticut, Matthew
That's right.
Berry.
Thank you very much. There's some questions about that.
You're good enough for America.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not ready to go
Australia,
there yet.
Australia got rid of me.
Yeah,
America
fair enough.
loved me.
I mean, honestly, the bar is sometimes low. Look, I got goosebumps just then.
It was awesome.
Legit, I hadn't seen that clip before. I literally just watched it live with you guys. I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Like, sports is, to me, this is going to sound, super Pollyanna-ish, but like, honestly, that's what sports is like about. Like, honestly, that is as feel-good a story as it can be. Like, the Detroit Lions fans, what they have been through all these years. Dan Campbell's an easy guy to root for. Jared Goff, a redemption story. Like, you can't write it any better than that. Like, all the jokes about scripting the NFL and everything like that. But, like, literally, like, that's a storybook ending. This is a team that discarded Jared Goff. They sent him off to a team, and he went winless, and all of a sudden, now they host their first playoff game. It's against the Rams. It's against the quarterback that replaced him. It's against the coach that kicked him out. And they come away with a W, and now they're going to host another playoff game against the winner of whoever plays tonight, whoever wins tonight between Tampa Bay and Philadelphia. Awesome story for the Lions, for Dan Campbell, for Jared Goff, for everyone. I am thrilled for everyone out there. By the way, the Lions drink free. By the way, Detroit fans.
Detroit, all of Detroit.
Everyone in Detroit drinks free today at the happy hour.
Yeah, when Goff turned around after the first kneel and put his arms out, and you could just tell that the weight was lifted,
right.
And that this obviously meant so much to him. And I think back to when the Lions beat Minnesota at the buzzer, I think a couple of years ago, it was their first win in forever, and just the exhale for the franchise. And I think Dan Campbell might have been in tears, and I mean, yeah, an incredible moment, and couldn't feel happier for them.
Yeah, it's everything him and Brad Holmes have been building, and on top of that, Jared Goff, when they traded for him in the Matthew Stafford trade, was almost an afterthought, and now he wins their first playoff game since 1991.
The idea at the time was, I literally believe the Rams gave up a first-round pick to the Lions to take him off their hands.
Right.
Like, it was just basically, he's got this big contract, take him off our hands. And the thought was, like, all right, Goff will just sort of be there for a year, and then they're going to draft. They'll have a pick next year. They'll draft, and somebody that was just sort of just to be a caretaker, if you will, and just kind of like mind the store until they could get their quote quarterback of the future, has become their quarterback of the future. I think people forget this is somebody that was drafted number 1 overall.
Huge trade up.
Right. Yeah.
Big deal.
It's not like he's some obscure guy that came out of nowhere. And the other thing I want to say is, as great as a feel-good story as this is, and you're like Cinderella story and all that, the fact of the matter is like, it's legit. Like, they have playmakers on both sides of the ball. Hutchinson is unbelievable. Credit to future Commanders head coach Ben Johnson for calling a great game script as well.
Yep.
Look, I'm just, Amon-Ra St. Brown, was amazing. Josh Reynolds' revenge game. No one talks about that.
Right.
No one wants to talk about Josh Reynolds'
I feel like he
revenge
was always
game.
open. Always
unbelievable.
open. Jared Goff couldn't miss in this game. He was 22 of 27, 277 yards and a touchdown. We got to hear from Goff after the game just on the emotions of the win.
Yeah, it was. It was surreal. It was something that you kind of imagined for so long. From the moment I got here, you imagine getting that playoff win and having this type of atmosphere in front of our home crowd, and being able to sit on the ball like that and finish it out. And it kind of all hit me there. And to be honest with you, I didn't know it was over once we got the first down and until they sent in the personnel, and it kind of all hit me at once. But I kind of had to subdue a lot of emotions this week, and was able to kind of enjoy that moment.
Awesome.
As we look at the numbers here, obviously a huge game for Stafford as well. 367 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, but on the backs of Goff and, of course, ride or die Matthew Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Lions offense does enough to get this one done.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, we thought Stafford would have a good game against this Lions secondary. Like the Rams have nothing to hang their head about, right? I mean, they had a great game. We'll get into the Rams' performance, but just the Lions defense did just enough. I mean, listen, the under hit. People thought there was going to be a shootout. Right. The under hit in this game. So credit the Lions defense, who got a lot of stops, especially in the red zone when they needed to. And Goff played really well, especially in the first half. Amon-Ra St. Brown at home is just money in the bank. My parlay, of course, my parlay last night included, of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And he easily helped me cash that.
Yes, he did. And that wasn't the only thing, of course, that came along with the parlay, the cash. Take a listen if you missed it on Sunday Night Football.
I'm starting with Matthew Stafford and his return to Detroit. Listen, he's thrown multiple touchdown passes in 5 of his last 6 games, so I like him to do at least 2 tonight. Remember, the Lions secondary has really struggled recently. Everyone's talking about Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, so of course I'm talking about Demarcus Robinson. Listen, no team in the NFL runs more 3 wide receiver sets than the Rams. Robinson's out there a ton, and oh, by the way, he's beaten his receiving number in each of his last 5 full games. And finally, it's Detroit. You knew I had to go with my ride or die, Amon-Ra St. Brown. At home this year, he has averaged 105 receiving yards per game. So I'm taking an alt line here. Give me the over on 80. I think that's easy.
So all of those hit. Demarcus Robinson hit by half a yard. Never in doubt. Never in doubt.
All counts the same.
Never in doubt. Well, it all cashes. I was just going to say it was driving me crazy because I didn't have time to get into the stat. But one stat I wanted to use, but just again, I have a minute to do 3 different players on TV. But no team in the NFL gives up more long receptions and than the Detroit Lions. And Robinson is in essence their deep threat. And so, I looked at his longest reception prop as well. That was one that I was considering. Ultimately, didn't go there. But they took a bunch of shots to Robinson and they just missed. He sort of misjudged at one and Stafford overthrew him, to the side, another one. I'm just but then, he ends up getting it, cashing it. It's awesome.
Yeah, would have been pretty long odds that Cooper Kupp was going to be 6th on the Rams in receiving, and it felt like outside of just the relentless fades to Kupp in the end zone, which never worked, he just didn't really get a look. So it was a strange season for Cooper Kupp, who looks healthy, looks fine.
Yeah.
It's just Puka Nacua really supplanted him at the end of the year.
I think it looked like to me, I haven't charted this yet, but it looked like to me that Kupp was playing more outside and they were using Nacua more inside. And that's where the Lions really struggle, is more on the inside and the interior and dealing with slot receivers. So I also think, by the way, Aaron Glenn was probably it's the playoffs. I'm taking care of Cooper Kupp. And then just, Stafford, to his credit, was just who's open? 17's open. Let me just keep feeding him.
Yeah. It's going to get a little lost in the wash now, but Stafford was ridiculous last night.
Yes, he
Some
was.
of these Mahomesian throws, which are really Staffordian throws. He's the one who's been doing it first. Yeah. He might just be the 5th best quarterback in football, honestly. He is unbelievable. And the fact that he was taking those hits, and I'm pretty sure he got concussed, and he still came back in and did what he did. Look, the Lions deserve the victory, but Matthew Stafford deserved the victory there too.
Yeah.
He has nothing to hang his head about.
Yep.
An absolute star born this year in Puka Nacua, and it of course, the season ends for him by him setting the rookie record for most receiving yards in a playoff game. After the game, Sean McVay said, "This guy's a freaking warrior. He is a stud. I love the mindset and mentality that he has. If he just continues to stay humble and keep working, this guy's going to be a problem for a long time."
And by the way, next year, that's heading into next fantasy football season, that's going to be a big debate, Kupp or Nacua. Who do you draft higher? You know what I mean? It's going to be people are going to remember this playoff game and want to go with Nacua, but Kupp is Cooper Kupp,
right?
And so, but I think both guys are easy top 20 wide receivers next year, and I think you can make an argument for both of them inside the top 10. Probably not Kupp just because of the inconsistency and the injury issues, but I think both guys are going to be fantasy stars next year. Puka Nacua, it's crazy. I'm paraphrasing J.J. Watt's tweet. I don't know if you guys saw this, but J.J. Watt put out something to the extent of basically, C.J. Stroud's going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he should be. But it's a shame that his rookie year is the same one as Puka Nacua, because what Nacua is doing is unbelievable, and that should be awarded somehow. Again, I'm totally butchering it, but that was the general gist of his tweet, and he's 100% right.
Yeah, I mean, Puka Nacua would have won, surely, Offensive Rookie of the Year, like 19 of the past 20 seasons.
Right.
Just he came up against the greatest rookie season ever by a quarterback in C.J. Stroud. So, I mean, it's tough for Nacua, but yeah, he was amazing. It's the stuff after the catch as well with him. And Collinsworth did a really good job on the broadcast of breaking that down. Just like, this guy doesn't look that big. Like, he shouldn't be able to wear this contact and just push through, but guys just bounce off of him. So, incredible season for him, and I'm glad that he was able to do that on the biggest stage.
Of course, a lot of the storylines around Matthew Stafford, who we talked about, had such a great night. The Rams still end up coming up short. Stafford spoke after the game, and if you saw before the game how heavily he was booed, of course, the Rams were booed by the home Lions crowd. So we got to hear from Stafford on if he was happy for the city of Detroit.
When Sean McVay was up here, he said that he was happy for Jared Goff and whatnot through their time together. You've been here in Detroit for your first 12 seasons. Just how do you feel about the city of Detroit?
I'm happy for the players. Happy for those guys. It's a playoff game. You know, I'm not surprised that they were excited about cheering for their team, and I'm not too worried about anybody's personal feelings towards me that was sitting in the stands.
What do you guys think of that? I thought it was a little over the top. But
I'm
it is
okay
a
with
playoff game.
I'm
It is
okay with
fans.
I'll tell you what. Look, first, a couple things here. Matthew Stafford's an awesome human being.
Right.
Matthew and his wife Kelly have done a lot of different things for the city of Detroit. It's an awesome couple. He is an awesome human being. Just full stop. And I think he gave a lot to the city of Detroit when he was there, and I think he has continued to try to honor that city in his own way as the starting quarterback of the LA Rams. So, and I think that if you were to talk to a Lions fan, they would say that. Like, they're appreciative, or they should be, of all the years that Stafford gave them, that he gutted it out for so many years there. Having said that, yeah, man, he's the starting quarterback of the Rams. Yeah,
a lot of people flipping him off, though, in the stands. I was like, okay, boo,
form.
yell, you pay the ticket, you actually do whatever you want. I don't really care that much. But I was a little shocked for how long he was there.
Yeah, it's not quite booing the dead Jerry Krause at the Bulls game. It's not quite that bad, which was
that was the worst moment of the week.
Disgrace.
That was awful.
But it was a little bit. And with Stafford as well, I think the thing is that he's just lost the playoff game. He's just been concussed. He's just been absolutely battered. He's allowed to say whatever he wants in the press conference, but it was a little bit poor.
It's a little bit of poor form. But I also the Lions were so into it. It was their, that kind of thing. And here comes. It's a little bit like this. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine if you're Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend. Right? You're okay, whatever. Travis and I, we had a good time together, whatever. Now he's going off. I wish him well. And then he shows back up with Taylor Swift, and you're like, what the hell? You know what I mean? So it's a little bit me and Stafford, now he shows up, Super Bowl champion. You're there with Sean McVay.
Los Angeles weather.
Yeah, Los Angeles weather. What,
That's fair.
Screw you, buddy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just imagine,
That's fair. And look, in this game, no one deserved to lose, but I thought that the one moment where you maybe deserve to lose is McVay has to go for that on 4th and 14. You have to go for that, because the thing is that Detroit aren't playing to score. They're playing to get 2 first downs. If they get 1 first down, they're not even in field goal range at that point. So what's the downside? You've just basically given the chance to have the ball away for 27 yards of field position in a game that field position is no longer relevant because they're not trying to score. That was disappointing. And the thing, I think you can make the case that Shanahan, Reed, and McVay are the 3 best coaches in the NFL. They might be the 3 worst at these 4th down decisions. It's unbelievable that they keep messing this up, particularly when you think that they have Mahomes, everything in San Francisco's offense, and Stafford. That was a strange way for the game to end, but good for Jared Goff that he was able to complete the pass at the end to Amon-Ra St. Brown.
It was an awesome game. I will say this. The officiating drives me crazy. There was some really bad call. Listen, I was rooting for the Lions, just not only for the story, Amon-Ra St. Brown, my ride or die, and I had picked the Lions on air. We'd been the Football Night in America crew. We were all fairly split, but I picked the Lions to win and the under. We have to give the score, basically. So I in essence, with my score prediction, took the under. So I was rooting for the Lions to win and the under to hit with my pick there. But even who's was full on Lion homer last night, is like, come on, they're grabbing the kid's jersey. That was pass interference.
They just missed it.
And by the way, in the first half, that offsides false start missed call, which would have kept the Lions drive alive, and they probably kick a field goal. If they get some points, whether they score a touchdown, it would have been 1st and 10 in positive territory. So there was just some brutally bad missed calls on both sides of the ball, which is you hate to see a game like that marred by that. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.